ESAD RIBIC, and you're listening Across the Bifrost.
Whosoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Across the Bifrost. This is the Mighty Thor podcast, where on each and every episode, we explore the world of Marvel's Mighty Thor. I am your host, Ryan Doze, and I am joined by other co-host, Will Rose today. Will, are you excited for our interview today?
Fantastic. And I grew a little bit of facial hair to match the other people I'm on the Zoom with just for this particular interview.
It is. I kind of compared him to Sean Connery earlier. I don't know if that's the best description of him,
No.
but you're getting rid of it in a few weeks anyway. So it won't have a long shelf life.
After I go skiing and snowboarding.
Hunt for Red October, definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right, good.
Hey, everybody, that was the voice of our distinguished guest. ESAD RIBIC is here to talk about some Thor comics.
Yeah.
No, it's right. I mean, you do look very Hunt for Red October, Sean Connery. Oh, that's a good pull, ESAD. Good
nice. I have to rewatch that or show it to my wife and say, see, he looks cool. Don't you think I look cool? We are today coming to the close. This is the final episode of our Jason Aaron Retrospective. We are going to be covering King Thor with the artist himself. ESAD's here to talk a little bit about his career, work on Thor, and then we're going to talk about King Thor, and we're going to shut the door on this Jason Aaron run. It's going to be a good episode. So let's just jump in. ESAD, we start this conversation off with all of our creators that come on the show the same way. Where in the 9 realms do you call home?
Croatia.
And if you could be from a one of the realms of Yggdrasil, which do you think embodies you the most, or the best?
I don't know, is there like a lazy realm?
A lazy river? Is there a realm that has a lazy river you can just float around? The big tree, just right. Lazy river around the life tree.
Yeah, look, man, I'm all about comfort. So wherever that fits in, 9 realms, that's where I am.
Wherever the laziest people are valued and respect. I mean, hey, you might be able to hang out with the dwarves. They seem like they could have a good time, but be a little chill about it.
And that's it.
Yeah. It's Nidavellir. Then we'll send ESAD off to Nidavellir when we're done here. But what I wanted to kind of, before we get to you working as a creator, what were your earliest first moments of comics, superheroes, that the whole kind of medium?
So growing up where I grew up, I didn't really read any superhero comics. I grew up on French, Italian, and Spanish stuff, mostly. Okay. European comics. So I heard of that stuff, and I would occasionally see it. There was a magazine that was publishing some Marvel stuff. It was actually called Marvel Magazine.
Okay.
So I read some of that stuff there. But that was probably just 2% of what I was reading back then. Most of it was just European stuff. So through that, I became a fan of John Buscema.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
And Frank Frazetta, because first issue of that Marvel magazine had Buscema's Silver Surfer, and it had Frank Frazetta's Conan cover.
Oh.
So for me, that was oh fuck, this is great,
Yeah,
never
that
heard
tracks.
Of those, yeah. So that was my way in. But to tell you the truth, most of the at that point, it was only Marvel comics that they were publishing here. I didn't like. I liked Silver Surfer. I liked Tomb of Dracula.
Oh,
and I liked Conan. So those were, and I only liked Conan when Buscema did it.
Okay.
Whenever they would have an episode, done by anybody else, I was not interested. So all of my, well, you can't really call any of those superheroes, really. American stuff that I read as a kid was that. Then later I ran into X-Men. I hated that shit. I ran into Fantastic Four. I hated that shit. So literally I liked nothing until much later, I was already, I would guess I was 17 or something. I read Electro Assassin by Bill Sienkiewicz and Frank Miller, which I thought was a masterpiece, and I still do. And then like a little later, I read Dark Knight, which I didn't like that much.
Okay.
I understand why it's seen in such a high regard in the US, but coming from Europe and reading comics that were much less, rigid in what they could depict and stuff like that, it just didn't seem that revolutionary to me.
Okay.
It was just okay. It's a good book. I just don't see what's so masterful about it.
Okay.
So it's a different perspective. I grew up on some totally different stuff. I was never just a comic geek per se. Like I loved illustration, I loved painting, and all of that. To me, all of that was the same. So like I'm a big fan of, for example, like Renaissance painting. I never made in my mind, all of that stuff. Good comic books. You can call it high art stuff and like Brandywine illustrations. To me, that's all the same field. When I started actually working in US and realized that they're kind of, oh, well, you're expected to just work on comics here. And I was like, I do all of that shit. What's your point?
Yeah.
Like, it was kind of, I needed some time to adjust to that,
And like, I think there's several different facets of your career that I'm like, I want to like dig into deeper. And I like some of the things you said in there, like we're just, I feel like, Will, I feel like we've got like a gold mine to like pick apart little bits and nuggets from. I'm actually really curious when you said that you were reading other stuff that wasn't, it wasn't mainstream US comics. Were they like European like genre comics? What kind of like vibe? What set those comics apart so much? Because you've been a part of my comic book experience for a long time with US comics. So I'm just curious as to how do you see the difference between the two?
Well, I would say that the difference these days is not even as much as it used to be back then. Because remember, I started in '96 in US.
Okay.
I don't knew that. I was working for this small company, Antarctic Press, doing some of that stuff. And there was much more cross-pollination during the last like 3 decades than before that, So in like early 80s, 70s, and before that, I would say American comics market was like its own thing, and comics in Europe were something totally different. And comics in Japan were something totally different.
Right.
These days, everybody influences everybody else. So there's, you can see bunch of that stuff. Like there's a lot of European artists and writers working, in US. So that's part of that too, you know. So the situation it is today, it's totally different. But back then, I gotta say that to me it was pretty alien world, because you know, I still am a huge fan of Mobius, you know, Jean Giraud. So I read like all of his stuff, you know. I was a huge fan of there's this Italian guy, Dino Battaglia, you know.
Okay.
So that guy mostly did like a history comics and stuff like that. But you know, it's just the way he told stories and how it looked like. I'm always perplexed how little people in US know about him, you know. Everybody's talking about you know, Sergio Topi, but I think Sergio Topi is just Dino Battaglia for poor people. You know, Fernando Fernandez, you know, that's the guy who did like painted comics. That's pretty much when I started. You know that guy?
Yeah, he passed away recently.
Yes. So you know, like he did this book called Zora, which was like I loved it as a kid. You know, there was Frank Hampton, you know, like a British guy. There was, you know, a bunch of different people. Herman, a guy from Belgium. So that was my regular diet, you might say. I liked like a lot of underground stuff too. Like one of the things that I really liked, and people in US kind of get surprised by it, is Friedman Brothers, if you know those guys.
What were they known for?
Well, they were doing like this grotesque, like a couple of page short humor comics, but they were done like it's ultra precision. It's like almost like every panel is like a photograph, you know.
Oh, cool.
Well, yeah, and I can hear in your voice like there's definitely like a American comics Marvel way of like churn out as many comics as you can and get it in the kids' hands, and they all kind of look the same. But I hear you talk, it's like there's different types of styles, and you had a well-balanced diet of artistic expression when it comes to comics where you're growing up. And I'm curious, when you say like the X-Men and Fantastic were shit to you, what was it about that was like, I don't know if I jive with this right now, but it's the more like painted covers of Conan, which we now see like as a deep transition to what you do in your art. But what was it about those early comics you're like, not me, not my taste, I don't like that, it's like bad broccoli?
Here's the thing, I did like a lot of American comics, but from previous era. I'm a huge fan of Milton Caniff, you know, Harold Foster, stuff like that, you know, from 30s, 40s. So I really loved that stuff. But this later stuff, you know, back in 60s, there was kind of this move from comic strips that were done for like general audience to like what became mainstream was, you know, Marvel and DC superhero comics.
Yeah.
To me, they were kids stuff, you know. And I mean, I read some kids stuff back home, but what I grew up as a kid was some other kid stuff from Europe, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I never kind of had any nostalgia for that stuff, and even today I'm like, yeah, I can see the influences and stuff like that, but it's not really for me, you know.
Yeah. Was there a moment in your childhood that you were like, I want to do this? This is something I want to do for a living as an expression. Was there like, do you already have a natural talent for writing and drawing or painting that you were like, yep, I'm going to make this my career, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life? Was there an aha moment that you had there as a kid?
Well, here's the thing. Well, I obviously liked drawing as a kid quite early on, so I was kind of naturally inclined to go to art school. But while at art school, I was really, I mean, I started drawing comics because it was fun thing to do, especially some grotesque, you know, like humor stuff. But when I was in second grade of high school, I started working in animation studio, and quite soon I decided that that's going to be my career. there was this kind of art animation studio in Zagreb that back then still did really good work, and I found myself in that. So comics were just my hobby, really.
Okay.
I would occasionally do like a painted illustration or a black and white illustration if they were printing like that. But what I saw as doing for the rest of my life was actually animation. But then in early 90s we had a war, and that was the end of animation industry as it was in literally. There were a couple of studios that were doing it. They were all closed down, and only one studio remained with like 30% of its staff before the war, and that was pretty much suddenly all I had left was my hobbies, which were comics and illustration.
Yeah.
Now I know that like you've mentioned a lot of different influences already, and like it's like I feel like people are gonna have to go back and be like, hey, Google these names if you don't know them, because ESAD said a bunch of names you should probably go check out. But I like when I look at like a normal you say like whatever Marvel came out with this week in comics, like I'll look down the list and I'll be like, okay, some of these things look the same. And but then like I can tell an ESAD RIBIC cover from a lineup, like because it's unique, it stands out. And I was wondering if you could maybe like describe to people like why your comics look different, because I feel like they stand out in a lineup, at least they always have for me.
Not sure.
Are there certain techniques that you use that maybe aren't as common? Like,
I don't know. Like, I don't think my technique is that special. I just use classic gouache and tempera. I love chiaroscuro style, from Renaissance, like Caravaggio, that kind of stuff. I grew up copying a lot of his stuff. But then I saw, Frazetta, and that kind of hit the chord with me quite a lot. So I would say that probably those two are the biggest influence of what I'm doing today. There's some other influences later, but probably those two are most visible. I don't know, at least to my eyes. Anyways, I will always try to let's say suggest a story. There's a way to do a human figure to suggest a story or just a pose,
Okay.
So if you go for just a pose, it's more decorative, and I always go for like a more evocative, let's call it like that, image that will kind of look like it's a part of a bigger image, and like doesn't really tell you the story, because you can't tell the story in just one image, but kind of hints at it,
Okay.
So that would be like my basic approach to pretty much all my covers.
Okay. I have often described you, and it's crazy you said that you're influenced by Renaissance painters, because on this show I have maybe not even knowing fully what I mean by it, I was like, man, when I look at these these interiors and these covers, I'm like, I feel like it's like I'm looking at the work of a Renaissance painter, because it looks and it's crazy that you said that, because I was like, well, holy shit, that validates what I've been saying for years. But it really did, like it stood out. And like when we get into like talking about King Thor, and obviously the creation of Gorr and all that, like it's going to be a little more focused there. But yeah, I really wanted to ask you about the style, and you mentioning Frazetta makes complete sense. So
yeah, like Well, in terms of what is your normal, I'm always curious about this as you know, I consume these comics, read these comics, love these comics, love these stories, but like what does a normal day of work look like for you? Like in terms of like wake up in the morning, you do 1 page, 2 pages, one image, one panel, one cover. I guess it depends on what assignment you're on or what you're contracted to do for a particular you know, company or story. But what does a normal work day look like for you?
So usually I wake up and just go to a bar for a coffee, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
Same.
that's my morning ritual. And then when I start working, it kind of depends. I do some commissions at home, not much, but occasionally I will. I always do some cover, and then I always do a bunch of pages.
Gotcha.
If I have a good idea of what I want to do on a page, I will probably just go and finish that page, you know, one day. If I don't, I might go and start doing like 4 different pages, you know.
Okay.
I might, you know, do one panel on one and then getting second thoughts about what I did in the layout. Maybe I should change it up. And then I wouldn't waste time in waiting, you know, like to get the idea. I would just put it aside, start another page, you know.
Okay.
And then you know, you do something and it's like, aha, you go back to that one and then you keep on doing it. So there's all of that stuff. And you know, obviously when you close to a deadline, then you suddenly, you know, decide that whatever you come up first is going to go on a page because
right
Deadlines, those deadlines. Yeah.
So I would say the deadlines are the biggest inspiration. Sometimes.
I'm not entirely sure. Because I mentioned this. I believe I mentioned this to Jason when we spoke last year. I came across on the internet. I came across it says it's an ESAD RIBIC Superman commission, and I found this, and it has your name on it. Someone must have maybe posted like something that they got from you. I was like, ESAD doing Superman. Holy shit. That looks amazing. I like, and it made me kind of like fantasy book in my mind, like, what would an ESAD RIBIC Superman comic look like? And I just wanted you to know, like, it was incredible. Probably my favorite Superman. And I know, like, and I don't, to my knowledge, you haven't worked on much DC stuff or any, have you?
I actually have, because in late 90s I was working in Vertigo.
Oh, okay. So that would count.
Yeah. So I did a couple of short stories, some covers, and I did one 4-issue miniseries. And then I kind of got into dispute with the main editor of the line, and just before that, I got offered to move to Marvel because back then, if you remember, they were bankrupt. So they couldn't really get the big name artists. So they were kind of going for the beginners who were cheap enough for them, you know, to work. And since I was beginner in DC too, so the beginner page rate in Marvel was actually $10 more for me. So
nice.
Yeah, fuck it. Yeah. So I moved to Marvel like in February 2000, something like that, long time ago.
Yeah.
Anyways, that Superman that you're talking about is probably I took a sabbatical from Marvel after I finished Secret Wars, and I was doing something else for almost 2 years, or full 2 years. And during that time, I did sign a new exclusive with Marvel, but with the stipulation that it will start working when I go back to Marvel. So I did a couple of covers for DC, but for whatever reason, they didn't publish those when they were supposed to.
Oh,
okay.
They decided to publish them when I was already back in Marvel, and Marvel could stop them because I had an exclusive with them. Even though I did those covers in that 2 years where they could actually publish them, you know. So that was it for that. So it kind of got removed and never published. So I later sold them as covers that were not published, you know.
I'll put it this way. I know this, that I run a Thor podcast, but that one, like, it caught my eye. I was like, damn, my imagination is running wild with this one. I do know that, like, through your time with Marvel, Will and I talked about this before, and like just how many like heavy hitters you've worked with as a writing artist team. Off the top of my head, I was thinking, obviously Secret Wars, like you just mentioned, with Jonathan Hickman, Silver Surfer with Straczynski. You're now working with Kieran Gillen on Eternals, and
that's done. That's finished.
You are done with that.
Yeah, I'm back on a new project that I probably can talk about. So
we won't talk about that.
Oh, okay.
What was your experience? What was your experience on Eternals? Like, bringing that to an end, because that was your latest series, to my knowledge.
Let's say it was definitely completely unknown thing to me because I never read the Eternals. I don't think I ever heard of them until No, I would say that one of my friends who's like a big fan of Kirby showed me like Eternals book before of that, but I was totally uninterested because I'm not a Kirby fan really. So I didn't know nothing. So they sent me the old stuff. So I went through that just to kind of see what I'm gonna do, but more to see what I'm not gonna do because I really want to do something. I wanted to do something new. And
100%.
Obviously, the characters have to be kind of recognizable as what they are. And you cannot change them too much, but you can change them enough to put your stamp on it and kind of make them look a bit different. So that was my idea. The thing is, though, like Eternals is such a preposterous camp concept that I thought that it either should go all the way into just camp grotesque territory or be that serious. In the end, it was kind of in between. I think that kind of robbed the book of its potential impact. I think that since what didn't help was that they were doing that movie.
Right at around the same time.
Yeah. So like I do remember though, like they sent me like some movie material, like costumes and stuff like that, and I look at that shit and I'm like, okay, good joke, can you now show me the real stuff? No,
we got our jokes out of the way.
That's the real stuff. I'm like, you must be joking.
It's funny. It's like that awkward moment when someone makes a joke and they're waiting for, a laugh, but the other person's like, no, it's not a joke. I'm not laughing. That's pretty funny. Because I think Marvel does a good job in a sense, like, hey, we have a big movie, a blockbuster's coming out. We want to like synergize this thing and get out some books and let people know that where these characters come from. But if the movie doesn't do well or the concepts don't land, then it kind of suffers for the sale of the book too. Like, I
don't. To tell you the truth, I don't think there's too much influence on the book sales from the movie. I remember back in first Spider-Man days, everybody was expecting once movie gets out, everybody was very, like, we saw the movie, it's great, So the movie comes out and it's a huge fucking hit, it makes like what? $1.5 billion or whatever. And the Spider-Man sales bumped like 5,000 for the next 2 months, and that was it.
Huh.
Because it's literally, it's not the same crowd. Like people know about those characters, but they're not gonna read comics no matter what. You know, there's a certain percentage of population that's interested in comics, and it's almost impossible to make others to read them, you know. And it's not a bad thing, it's just reality, you know. Concentrate with whatever you do on those people who already read that stuff. You will gain a little bit of audience from sides if you change you know, your approach a bit and stuff like that. But you cannot really expect to have, you know, huge audience suddenly because this character became popular in the movie. You know, it's a fucking movie, it's a movie going audience, and that's pretty much it, you know.
Love it. Yeah.
How did the how did the opportunity for you to work with Jason on Thor come about? Because that's where, like, in terms of my comic book reading, I mean, I remember one of the first comics I ever bought was an ESAD Ribic Thor comic, you know, you and Jason doing Thor. I was like, hey, this guy kind of looks, you know, I've told this story many times on the podcast. Like I was a kid where I grew up, you know, near no comic book stores. I grew up with Lord of the Rings and Star Wars. And I was like, hey, this guy looks like he's a little bit of both, like kind of spacey, kind of fantasy like. And then I finally went to a comic book store and I was like, I need to find some of these Thor comics. How did that opportunity for you to work with Jason on Thor come about? Can you tell us how that whole process kind of happened?
So I would say, so years ago, before that, I did the painted book, it was Marvel Knights, like limited series called Loki. And they renamed it afterwards into Thor and Loki, Blood Brothers, for whatever fucking reason, I don't know. Anyways, back when I did that, the Thor showed up only on a couple of pages of that thing, you know. But they kind of really liked how I drew Thor in there. So you know, there were people in the office who were like, oh yeah, I would really like to put you on a Thor book in the future. I would really like to put you in a Thor book in the future. But back then I was only doing those Marvel Knights mini books, you know, like 4 or 5 issue books.
Yeah.
Like Submariner Depths and stuff like that. And I wasn't really interested in going to continuity, as they call it. But then years later, you know, European approach thing. Years later, they kind of, when Disney took over, they kind of stopped publishing Marvel Knights books. So at first I thought that I would still be able to do those because my Marvel Knights book sold. Like apparently a lot of Marvel Knights books didn't sell very well, so they decided to kill the line. But I was like, I'm okay, my book sold. But turned out, no, they were like, yeah, fuck you, bitches. You know, there's only continuity now and that's it. So, you know, since that happened, suddenly somebody in the you know, office was like, oh yeah, we really liked ESAD's Thor, so maybe we should put him on that. And then sometimes afterward, you know, Jason pitched that story, and you know, was it his idea for me to draw it, or was it some, I don't know whose idea was it, but I got offered to do it, and then I got to see Jason on a show before we started doing it, and he was all squirrely, like, oh, it's gonna be, oh yeah, if you do it, it's gonna be great, blah blah. So I was like, okay, yeah, well, I guess I'm in then.
What?
Because back then I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, I got
Okay.
I was like, okay, there's a lot of Viking stuff. I like Viking stuff, so there's gonna be some stuff I like to draw. There's very little actual continuity, great. I
Right.
think about how to make something ridiculous not looking ridiculous, because there's like a lot of guest characters. And it was pretty much mythology approach, which I'm all for,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of mythology, and if I can mythologize superhero, I don't care if it's a superhero or not. But superheroes per se, not that much of a fan of that stuff. I can do it, but I would rather do, mythology or sci-fi. Once I started doing it, I was like, yeah, this was the right decision. It's a great fucking story. And, let's have our fun with that. We already worked before. We did like 140-page short thing.
Was it a Wolverine comic?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like The List or something like that.
Yeah, it was Rain. What the fuck was it called? Who cares?
Some Rain. Big crossover.
No, it was Wolverine Dark Reign, I think.
Okay, Wolverine Dark Reign.
Or maybe not. Yeah, I don't remember. Anyways, so we knew each other already. We worked together, and it kind of worked nice. He liked what I did with that script of his. And I didn't like the way it was inked and colored, because my original choices weren't available and stuff like that. So for after that first thing that we did together, I decided to change my approach a little bit. So I started doing that pencils that I bump up in Photoshop with the grayscales that I do in Photoshop layer. So it all kind of looks a bit more like a painted comic.
Yeah, absolutely.
But something that you can actually do fast enough to do a monthly book, because obviously if you paint, you can do 5 pages a month or 6. If you put like this, you can do 20,
Right. It's just rate of how you get shit done.
Yes, but the thing is, I always thought in values, not in graphics. So I always thought like a painter, not as a comic artist, really. So I decided that if I'm gonna do stuff that's not painted comics, I better come up with a style that I will like,
right?
That will rely more of what I see are my strengths, as an artist, than on something, elsewhere. There's a bunch of people who do a great graphic-based stuff, and I can't do it. I can do something else though.
Right.
So when I do that and find a technical way how to do it fast enough,
And that's where I with there's three main, I would say, like, influences or styles on this Jason Aaron run of Thor. You have yourself, and you have Russell Dodderman, who was after yourself, and then Mike Del Mundo has that stint towards the end. I've always appreciated that every single one of you, like, I don't get mixed up like whose comics are whose, because the styles are so distinct. And I wanted to know, like, when you go into this book and you're going to do a continuity comic, like you said, what inspired your version of Thor?
Okay, so if you take a look at that Loki book, you will see that pretty much Thor, the way I did it there, was the same as I did it in God of Thunder. Only difference is the costume, which I wanted to do a bit to kind of resemble more of an actual warrior costume from Viking era.
Yeah.
So I went for that kind of look. And when I was doing Loki, there was this movie with Antonio Banderas from all people called 13th Warrior.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there was this Polish actor there who actually played Beowulf. His name is Boris Kulic, I think. That guy looked like Thor, you know. And
Nice.
I'm gonna look him up right now.
Sorry to say, Hemsworth is not even close to looking like Thor, like that guy. You know,
Okay.
Come back to that movie, look at that fucking guy, tell me this is not the Thor.
Nice.
So that was my inspiration, main one.
Okay.
I love it. And I love that you definitely can, I mean, I love hearing this evolution of how you got onto the book with Jason Aaron that became like a pretty major run that eventually becomes a movie where you have a new villain in the Marvel universe. We haven't up to that point. Yeah, people are trying to create new characters. A lot of them don't stick, but they eventually like here's this they're doing it on the big screen. But going back and looking at your Loki comic, like yeah, that what you did Thor is what you brought in there. But in terms of how you depict Loki, I was telling Ryan earlier, like your Loki in that book is not a handsome MCU. All the girls are swooning over. Like this particular Loki that you're doing is beat up. He's missing teeth. He looks like he's menacing. And you don't want to hang out with this god of mischief. You don't want to like date this god of mischief. And I admire that so much. And then to see your style, I could definitely see where Mo would be like, yeah, if we're going to do this Thor book, this is the guy we want for it. And Jason Aaron making the pitch that we're going to do something pretty big with a brand new villain called the God Butcher. And that kind of diamonism that's going to go on in that book and the battle between how your style would fit that particular character.
Yeah, I would say so. The thing with the depiction of Loki, which some people didn't like at all, like they were like, yeah, I like the book, but why the fuck does he look like a old grandpa or something? And the thing is really like sometime before doing that book, I bought this there's this Richard Wagner theater in Germany that only does Richard Wagner productions, you know, his operas, Tannhaus, you know, and Ring of Nibelung, stuff like that. So they do this really like 19th century high-tech you know, opera things where they have like a very elaborated backgrounds and a lot of mechanical effects and stuff. And this DVD box set that I bought was shot with like 30 cameras, and they pretty much edited it like a movie. You know, so it looks fucking great. All of it is like quite realistic, much more realistic than usually what you expect from opera, you know. But then it's totally artificial too. You can see that it's not. It's just more realistic than opera. It's not fully real, not even close to actually being realistic. And there's some opera conventions where, you know, the evil guy has to be seen the moment he shows up. So they would do them. They would usually be old, ugly, shit like that, you know.
Yeah.
So I was kind of doing Loki as Wagnerian opera of that type. That was my main inspiration. So that's why I didn't really bother with like giving it a lot of depth of field, you know, like I wanted it to look a bit artificial, you know, like it's staged.
Okay.
Love it.
Makes total sense.
So that was my inspiration for that stuff. And I guess that's what Jason liked. Although in our run on Thor, I went for a bit different approach. I wanted it to be more epic, let's say.
With Will, Will was saying, like there's oftentimes, villains in modern comics, some of them, most of them probably don't stick, or they're usually like they're there for a limited series and then they're defeated at the end, and someone will resurrect them 10 years, 15 years later. But you designed this villain that is, I mean, pretty synonymous with Thor comics now. What inspirations, where did the design for Gorr the God Butcher come from?
Okay, so when I was a kid, I saw this Yugoslavian movie from, like, I think it was late 70s. And it was based on some folk tales. And it's basically a story about the devil who decides to leave the hell and go out just to spend some time and see where all these people come from, because he just can't comprehend what kind of people he gets into hell, So it's like,
where do these sickos come from?
I want to see what creates those people that come to my place in the end.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah.
So he kind of disguises himself, cuts off his horns, and removes all of the, devil, signs from him, except one of his legs. He cannot change one of his goat legs into human leg.
Okay.
So he gets out of the well with like a long black coat, and he's limping because he has one human leg and one goat leg.
Okay.
And that was my inspiration for Gorr, So I drew him with one human and one let's say goat slash alien leg. And the idea is that he's limping,
Oh
man, he's basically like very powerful but very fucked up at the same time,
Yeah,
like
that he is. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was the thing. So I kind of tried in a couple of places in the book, show him walking, like he's limping, but the problem is those are static images, so I don't think too many people picked it up.
I didn't until you just said it, and now I'm looking at like, yeah, there it is. One leg's different than the other. Like, you're completely right.
I'm gonna have to go through my long box after this.
Yeah. Holy shit. Okay.
You know what, ESAD, you could have given me 1,000 guesses on where the inspiration from Gorr came from. I don't think I would have even come close. I mean, that's so awesome that, like, something like you say from your childhood, you went back and were like, yeah, let's base a villain after this guy, because
Yugoslavian folklore of the devil, wanting to see like where are these shitbags coming from. Like but so when Jason Aaron gives you the script or the storyline, there's no description of what Gorr looks like, or is he like have fun with it, or does he give like, oh, I want him to look kind of like this or that? I'm sure there's like collaboration and like that. He's not micromanaging you what to draw, but in terms of direction and how you guys work together, how did that flow?
Yeah, to tell you the truth, like, I don't think that he fleshed it out too much. There was this requirement that he would have this black cloak that turns into everything. But apart from that, I think he just said that he wanted him to look macabre, like he wanted him to look like a villain right away. So I kind of, well, I think it was me, I don't remember, but I think I came up with the idea to make his skin like pale white.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You much have a black and white image in front of you, and that's the only black and white image, whole frame that you're looking at. So that was another part of visual idea. Like he's so determined, and he's very black and white in his psyche, and he's very black and white outside.
Yeah.
He's like, in that regard, he's completely consistent. Let's say,
Right. you've mentioned art in our conversation. You mentioned art that is grotesque. Did you feel like you got to maybe play a little bit with the grotesqueness, which some of the images
Exactly,
that
yeah.
Gorr is a part of? I mean,
Yeah.
it's really like outside of this, I really loved it's just a quick callback. I really loved what you did with the Namor comic, The Deep. Because that almost felt like an underwater horror comic. I was really
what we are going for, yeah.
I was really I was like, if they made this into a movie, I'm not sure I would go. But like when you do Gorr,
Good job
I'm like,
on my part then.
Mission accomplished.
well done. And there's parts with Gorr, I'm like, oh, he's just so creepy and eerie, and I don't know what he's gonna do next. And the thing that I know Gorr's not gonna do is, twiddle his thumbs like a cackling, Snidely Whiplash villain. Like he's a very serious character, but he's also a very like he's almost a chilling character. And I loved how like the grotesque nature of him really came through. Like he's quite
because I was working hard on that grotesque because you can do grotesque and overdo it so it becomes just funny,
yeah,
but you can dial down grotesque and suggest it, and then it kind of becomes chilling. So funny and chilling are kind of two sides of the same coin.
The images of Gorr that I have from like reading this run several times is they're very like the one of him crouching on the rock when he's talking to young Thor, or the one where he's got Thor chained up like upside down. I really love that. Like really anytime his shadow monsters are involved, I love kind of the consuming nature of that. I mean, Will and I have this joke where whenever we have creators on it, it's like, hey, remember when you did this cool thing? So I won't continue.
And I don't.
And he doesn't. He doesn't.
You have the liberty of like, yep, that was forever ago, and I've forgotten most of that.
In this case, I do know what you're talking about, but all of those things that you said, I would say those are the poses of him where he's actually relaxed.
And one when he's not relaxed is the when we really see him the first time, like his full body, his full presentation, is that fight in the sky. When he's lunging at Thor, you see his full face for the first time. There's blood all over the freaking sky. He makes a very bbig and different first impression, because when you've read enough comic books, it's like, oh, here's a kind of a villain of the month. Here's kind of a, this villain doesn't really move the meter for me. When I saw Gorr for the first time, I was like, that guy's different. Because he doesn't look like another villain that I've seen, in my modern.
Because I was more going for like something that let's say villager from a 15th century would be afraid of, something that they might so like a folk tale monster, not a comic book monster. Those are not the same things. There's a fine line between those things. Same like with the approach to Thor, like since Thor is a god, you just can't do certain things when you draw him. If you want to do him well, you got to treat him like Michelangelo statue all of the time.
Right.
So every little movement, even if he's just picking a cup, has to have a little pathos to it. Just so you can remind somebody, maybe even subconsciously, oh, this is the god that you're looking at. It's not just a character, and then this other guy is the villain, so you try to kind of tweak what you do in those kind of ways to kind of suggest something. Even so, let's say even if somebody never read the Thor comic book, they should kind of look at his pose and like, okay, so this guy is not just a regular human,
Right. He's not your average Joe. And
Yeah.
I think the whole, like, making a villain feel different. This is just a short little one that I just remembered. I was like, the treatment that you give Galactus at one point is like, oh, I don't feel like Galactus is a comic book character. I feel like he's an entity unto himself.
Yes, I treated him like a 19th century steel mill, like a walking factory. So that's why he's constantly releasing a shitload of smoke.
Right, he's smoking.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Like,
Didn't even know.
Like a factory that turns worlds into shit, pretty much.
Yeah.
So it's kind of pretty, straight metaphor, because that's what it is.
Yes, Galactus is a steel mill. Why not? We're gonna take a brief break, and then on the other part, on the other side, we're gonna talk about King Thor and putting the final nail in the coffin of our finale of the Jason Aaron run on Thor. Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying this conversation with ESAD RIBIC. I hope you're enjoying the finale of the Jason Aaron retrospective. Yeah, I'm sure some of you are going to be emotional about it. It's going to be, hard to move on from Jason Aaron comics, but don't worry. We've got a lot of great stuff planned for the rest of this year. And if you're a member of the Thor Corps, you can find out about all of that stuff weeks in advance. You can find out about our awesome guests that we have coming up, and you get those interviews early. You're going to get early episodes, bonus episodes, and like I said, you're going to find out about things that are going on way before everybody else. So join the Thor Corps today at the link in the episode description. For a few bucks, you can support the show, help us keep the lights on, help us take care of the things we need to pay for to keep the show on your podcast feed and in your podcast feed every single week. We hope you enjoy this show, and if you are able to support it financially, that'd be awesome. If not, keep on listening for more great episodes like the remainder of our conversation with Marvel artist ESAD RIBIC. Was it kind of always the plan for you to come back and finish Gorr and Thor's story?
From what I remember, original plan was to have like a self-contained, I would say 20 or 30 issue run, but then for whatever reason that got changed after the God Bombs story.
Okay.
They put in that Malekith mini.
Yeah, the Accursed storyline.
That was originally supposed to be like its own mini series.
Okay.
But then I guess marketing decided to put it in as a part of our story, and that kind of fucked up that original idea concept for the run. So it got changed. They wanted me to draw that Malekith story, but I refused to do it because it wasn't, it's like we just did like 12 issue pure mythology stuff.
An epic.
Back into Marvel Universe doing idiotic villains, because Malekith is really bad character. I don't, like, what the fuck? You're, you're kind of destroying the great idea for something that's bad, and for something that's there just to tie it in with the Thor movie that was happening at that time. In hope it would, sell more books, but it never does. So it didn't in this case either. So what the fuck, So I decided I don't want to do it, in a hope that they might, give up on that idea. But
Right.
it turned out to be stupidity. My side. So after that, I got back on the next arc, but it was totally different thing. It wasn't mythology anymore. And I gotta say that quite quickly I was, thinking about planning my exit from it. Mind you, I don't think that Jason did a bad job on it. But I would rather see some other characters in that kind of story than Thor, because we just did like full year of like, okay, yeah, this is what we're doing. After you've done that,
Yeah.
I don't want to do this,
Okay. So did you feel like
So,
after God Bomb, it was like that would have been like a good, like, okay, that story is done? Or did you guys already have kind of like what you did in King Thor in mind? Because King Thor is, I mean, you go back to a lot of the same beats of those first 12 episodes or issues.
well, now, well, here's the thing. I can't really tell you what original plan that Jason had was.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it wasn't what transpired in the end. I'm pretty sure Malekith wasn't supposed to be in it, and I'm pretty sure it was supposed to be about something else afterwards that too.
Okay.
So he kind of had to change what he was doing, and I decided it wasn't really for me. I wanted to do something else because first year we spent doing pure mythology with Thor, and I would say that's what I think actually Thor character should be, And then this other story was kind of so it's already a villain that was introduced before. I didn't really have a freedom to reimagine that villain into something new. And that Taurus thing, I thought I just don't think that villain is very good. It could be done much better,
Okay.
So suddenly, dealing with the corporate stuff in a Thor comic, I was like, I don't like that.
Those few years go by, then like who reaches out to you for King Thor, and like what was the pitch for King Thor?
Oh, Jason, because he wanted, since he started his Thor run with me, he wanted to finish it too. So he came up with that King Thor story to kind of wrap up his run, and I was happy to do it.
It was more your mindset go make, oh, I get to go back to like a character that
it was much more back to what we were doing before. It was much more mythology than superhero stuff. So yeah.
So getting back into King Thor, kind of the as you said, the continuity of our regular universe Thor has ended. War of the Realms has happened. We've gotten some of the post, the Thor becoming king, Odin giving his powers back over, and now we have this epilogue that is, I think these 4 issues of might be some of my favorite Thor comics of all time, and it's because they're so bat crap off the hook, like, and then it just feels like one of those comic book runs where like they keep amping it up, and you're like, sometimes when I read those limited series, 4, 5, 6 issues, I'm like, I'll get to that penultimate issue and be like, how the hell are we gonna wrap this up? And I felt like Will and I have tons of stuff to say about the last issue, but I was wondering if, Will, could you give kind of like a synopsis of this limited series, and then we'll just kind of like pick at a few parts and then we'll wrap up when I guess we feel like we've shot the bolt.
Yeah. So this limited series, this 4-issue limited series, King Thor number 1 through 4. But let me remind you, as I'm known to do on this podcast, it's not only King Thor number 1, but it's legacy number 723. So they found a way to say like, hey, underneath the number 1, this is a part of the ongoing continuity. But if they're bringing the band back together again, not only the original Creator team that blew the doors off the original run, but here they're back again to do this. And you have old Thor, the All-Father. You have his granddaughters of Thunder, and then Loki shows up as Loki, the All Butcher, who has the Necro Sword, has that, and you have this kind of classic Loki Thor battle in the sky with kind of a desolated universe. The universe is dead. Even all the gods are dead. They're the only the ones that are left. But they have this battle, and then towards the end, the big reveal is that Gorr is not dead, and you're kind of left with this cliffhanger of like, all right, how did he come back? And then you kind of find out that he's bonded with the Necro Sword and the All Black, and so this really is what kept him alive. You woken him from a sleep. It was a nice peaceful sleep. You didn't have to worry about all these shithead gods.
He became a god.
He became a god. Yeah. He became the God Butcher, became a god and came back. So then you have this kind of, again, this backdrop of the library and telling the stories of the gods, and this is a part of the legacy. And you can really tell that both of you, Jason Aaron, that like this is a goodbye. This is a swan song. This is like a salute to all that we've done, and want to just throw everything in the kitchen sink, even like dinosaur, like flying sharks and things going that you have at one point have him throw a sun or a star at Gorr as a weapon.
Why the hell not?
Just hurl it like a catapult. Like he uses the hammer to swirl it to catch it, and it's like, tornado, whatever, and hurls a sun at somebody. And every step along the way is pretty. So that's what you get. But it is long, drawn out, not only like amazing art, but like you have this kind of narration text of what's going on, of someone telling the story, but also Gorr and Thor finally duking up to the very end.
It's I mean, ESAD, do you remember like getting these scripts, like getting these, these kind of rundowns of what these issues are going to be like? What was it about this story that kind of like, you're like, oh, I can do something with that, or like, oh, I'm really going to enjoy this part? What were you looking forward to, to do in this limited series, this King Thor series?
I gotta tell you, I said yes to it simply on the strength of him telling me that he wants to finish his Thor arc with me, So there was really not much thought to it than that on my side. And then I get the script. I did got like a short treatment before that, but when you read it in that form, it's like it's the thing that it's all in execution. When you read the synopsis, it's like, okay, it can be good or bad, whatever,
Right.
So only when I got the finished script of the first issue, and I started reading that, I kind of started, thinking that it was Jason's practical joke on me, because he would just write stuff that's easy to write. It's very easy to write. Thor throws 2 suns at Gorr. It's very easy to write that.
Sure, I'll get right on that.
And more you get to the book, there's more and more of that shit, and I'm like, you motherfucker.
Oh my gosh, that's we've been privileged to talk to a few creators where the artists be like, how did you do that? They're like, I was given so little to go off of, but it was like, planet explodes. Okay, let's see how this goes. And like, I've got the last issue open right next to me, and there's some stuff in here where I'm just like, how in the freaking world do you start with like, okay, so Gorr has now become the universe. Okay, how do I make it look like he's this like skull in the sky, but his eyes are glowing and the universe is like tearing itself apart. Oh yeah, and also then there's Thor in the middle of it, cracking lightning and stuff. Sometimes when I look at a comic and I'm just like, yeah, I can do quite a few things in my life. I'm not sure I can ever do that. And I just, some of these images are just super impressive, man. Thank you.
Yeah,
Well,
full gratitude.
Let's go back to a couple of hundred years tradition of sacred art, you know, and look for inspiration there, you know. So that's pretty much how I did it, because again, I wanted to make it feel more like you know, mythology and metaphor than like concrete.
Yeah, accomplished. It's iconography. Yeah, like you said, it's like some comic book iconography of these images and the storytelling, the dynamism that goes into it. And yeah, and I just love that collaborative effort of you and Jason, of hearing, you know, you guys working well together on the initial run, then coming to this, that all it took was for him to say, hey, I want you on my final run. This is it. I'm going to put a letter at the end of this book to say thank you. I'm saying goodbye, signing off, and this is the artist that I want for it, and what you guys created before. And then with this, that's pretty special. So that's pretty fun to hear that's your experience. You're like, yeah, it took with Jason say, hey, I want to finish with you, and you're like, yep, cool, let's do it.
Yeah, because if somebody does that, least you can do is to oblige, you know.
Yeah.
There's one design element here, because you introduce a few characters that are, you know, I really love when people do like callbacks within their own stuff. And Jason writes in a callback in these 4 issues where he references the Sky Lords of Indigar, who are the first victims that we see. We actually see them, you know, hanging from the giant meat hooks that you created so grotesquely in the first issue. But like, we see them resurrected, and they have these all new designs, and they're so unique and evocative of the thing that they are the gods of. Did you, like, just a brief little like question here, did you have any like inspiration for those characters? Because you didn't really get to do anything with them in the first run, even though they're mentioned just by name. We get to bring them back, and they're almost like their own little super team for those few issues.
Right.
I think that a couple of those characters Jason kind of described in quite a detail.
Okay.
And then some others he didn't. So I don't really remember which ones were more my design and which ones are more his design, you know.
Okay.
But I was just going for, you know, okay, let's make this god looks like I don't know, like old Germanic god. Let's make this other god look more like you know, some Vedic character from India. You know, let's make this next character look kind of resemble God from some other religion and stuff like that. That's how I kind of did them.
Take from different pantheons, like as you kind of go, and
more like taking from different visual representations of gods in different civilizations. You know.
Okay.
I was really just going for a look. So, you know, there's the god of rot. What's his name? Fuck, I forgot. You know. So, so he kind of looks like he's leprous, you know, or something like that. So you kind of try to draw him in a way to make you feel that, like, well, this guy stinks like death, you know, like.
You draw him to like evoke the feeling that person is representing. So I really liked their design, and they were kind of like as I'm reading it along, I'm like, oh right, I forgot these guys show up in this. Like, they're not just like named characters that Jason and ESAD killed off right away, because throughout this whole, you know, saga with Gorr, you reference a lot of characters that we never ever see.
Yeah.
And it's like a lot of names get thrown around, and then we actually get to see this one. And it's just really
because I think since he changed his original plan for his run so much, a lot of that stuff was supposed to be shown way before.
okay.
But then it got changed, you know.
Okay. Will, I know I'm kind of at the end of like what I was really curious about with King Thor. Did you have anything else before we get into our thunder round with ESAD Ribic that you wanted to know about King Thor, and then we'll shut the door?
No, I just can't recommend these 4 issues. I mean, it almost seems like one big long issue kind of put together, but towards the end, again, like this imagining of like a grand library of the stories of the gods and mythology all in one, and there's still stories to be told. So you see like a preview. You see a preview of what is to come, stories still to be told that we haven't even heard about, some we're hearing about now, and then some that could be told. So he not only created this mythos of what was happening, this new character, but there's also this kind of teaser to say like there's more stories to be told that other people will pick up and run with, that will stand on the shoulders of these creators and take. So that the end of this shows you some good teasers of what could be done with Thor later on. Some more mythological, some more superhero, some wacky kind of stuff. But yeah, it's a great little run and a great bookend to.
Yep. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And Will, that's Will's pseudo plug for Cop Thor that he really wants, Galactic Cop Thor, which he really wants.
I want that so bad.
We've done that. I've done that in Secret Wars. You know.
Yeah, you did.
We need to go back and read the Thors.
I am. That was good. You know, like when he's busting people, gods for illegal use of plagues. I was like that phrase itself, like that came out of somebody's head. Illegal use of plagues.
I feel like that is a Jason Aaron phrase if I've ever heard one.
Yeah. But so Secret Wars is on the list next to go back and read.
ESAD, as you're our guest of honor on this last episode of going through all these comics, like you've said a lot about your approach and what you wanted to bring to these comics. Do you have any as people are reading these, any a word to the wise, or like, hey, look for this as you're reading these comics, as something that readers and listeners can go back and I don't know, just maybe take with them as they approach your comics again?
Like pay attention to Gorr's legs, maybe. Like don't miss that, Will.
his goat leg.
Yeah.
That's a detail I'm really happy with, but I don't think it's that important. But I don't know, I would say that what I'm really trying to achieve with those books is kind of like have a, as they say, transparent style, which would mean that after a couple of pages, you kind of stop thinking about somebody's style and kind of see it as a reality that you're looking in front of me yourself, like you're watching a movie. So if I manage to do that, then I think I'm succeeded in what I'm doing. Because when I grew up, my favorite comics were the ones where I could just lose myself in,
Yes.
And those were very different in style, but they had some things in common. And main thing was integrity of storytelling and integrity of style, in a way where it's like you don't do anything that will remind somebody that he's reading a comic when they read it,
Good point.
So you don't want to do a lot of those comic tropes, have, I don't know, too much and too in your nose sound effects, shit like that, because a lot of the times it kind of looks great with big sound effects somewhere, but the problem is that kind of reminds you're reading a comic book, not witnessing reality, let's say, so I try to avoid those kinds of effects.
I will. Speaking on behalf of many Thor fans that have gotten lost in your comics for hours, they definitely do. They accomplish the goal that you set out for.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Well, everybody, that's the end of the Jason Aaron retrospective. We finally did it. And you were there for every episode. And if you missed one, go back and check it out. We've had lots of great conversations with creators, with Jason Aaron, with now ESAD RIBIC. So the only thing we have to do with ESAD next, and our last thing, is the Thunder Round. Ever since Jason kind of dubbed this the Thunder Round, we wanted to keep doing this with our awesome creators that come on and give their time, just so you can get to know them a little bit more. Here we go. I'm going to start off with the first one, then Will and I are going to kind of ping pong these back and forth. So
so the thing with the lightning round, thunder round, is that you answer them as quick as you can. It could be one phrase, could be a word, but first thing that pops in your mind, there's no wrong or right answers. It's just what pops in your head.
And they're all about you, so it's who better to add, who better to be an expert on you than you.
Yeah.
This was one that this is one that we wanted to fit into the regular conversation, but we're just going to ask it now. When ESAD RIBIC is not creating comics, what is he doing?
Playing drums, reading, listening to music, and going to bar.
What? So real quick, what are you listening to right now? Like, what's like the album or the artist that like you're just vibing with right now?
Right now I'm kind of going through like let's say nostalgia phase, because like a couple of years ago I started playing with some friends of mine, and it's like heavy metal stuff. And to tell you the truth, I don't really listen to that anymore for quite a long time. I listen to everything else, really. Only rarely would I put it on by myself. But then I started to re-listening to that stuff that I used to listen like 30 years ago and stuff like that. So I'm kind of on that trip currently. I like orchestral music, and we were already talking about Wagner and stuff. So kind of lately on some like early 20th century stuff that I listened to a lot, but then for quite a few years I kind of forgot about, like Stravinsky, Debussy, that kind of stuff.
Nice.
And what else? Currently, like what I listened today, that was pretty much it.
Opposite ends of the paradigm, pretty much.
I love it.
Not so much really, because heavy metal is very orchestral in its approach, as apart from progressive rock, obviously, it's most orchestral, kind of rock music. So it's not really that, that much of extreme. If I said early punk, that would be extreme.
That would be a little different, yeah. Or like improvised jazz.
Right.
Well, go ahead.
All right. Yeah, aside, like, all right, you've worked with comic books, you've worked with superheroes, you've done that. If you could have just one superpower, what would it be?
I don't know. To be able to get half drunk, but never fully drunk. Be able to be in the zone, forever.
You're in the zone.
In the drink zone.
We're just gonna put that like ESAD RIBIC wishes he could live in the zone.
Live in the drink zone. Yeah, that's cool, because there's a fine line. There's a fine line.
Yeah, because exactly as you say, when I drink, it's never my goal to get drunk. It's my goal to have fun.
Yeah.
But if you have too much, then it starts taking its toll on you. And to me, drinking is a social activity that you do with good friends and talk.
Yeah.
So once you start slurring your words and you can't really talk, you're
no
like,
more talking.
Yeah, aside, Ryan and I were able to hang out in person for the first time in October, and I was proud that I was able to feed him or give him a glass of mead. Someone owns a meadery, and him being a Thor guy, I was like, "Here you go."
That
cheers.
was legit. I didn't expect to like it, and I really did.
Yeah,
was it a proper meat though? Because you know they have old recipes how it was done. You know, in history.
It was not Viking mead. I do not think it was Viking mead, but it was definitely mead from a meadery down there. It was like honey something. But it had a different flavor. I was like, man, I was at a wedding. They were giving out mead. I grabbed a bottle and brought it to Ryan, knowing he was coming to me and he was the Thor guy. We had to have some mead together in honor of Thor. So that's what we did.
Although mead doesn't really have too much alcohol in it. It's only like what, 8-9%, something like that, isn't it?
Right. And Ryan's a little bit of a lightweight. It got him a little bit. I was like, come on, let's do something. But anyway, we're not about Asad. All right,
we're not talking about me. We're talking Asad. What is your number one pet peeve?
Pet peeve.
Something that bothers you.
Okay. Let's say people who talk about stuff they don't know shit about.
Perfect.
Absolutely. I think that's a
thing these days.
Yeah, it's like it takes very very little expertise for someone to call themselves an expert.
That's right.
Yeah, like 2-minute video on YouTube and I know everything about it.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yep.
And now everyone needs to address me as said expert.
Yeah, because like you know, there's stuff I know a little bit about, and there's a lot of stuff I don't. And if conversation is about something I don't know, I will keep my mouth shut. You know, I will try to get informed about it from it, and maybe if I get interested in that, I will look it up and stuff like that. But you know, in that kind of situation, you can only really have questions, nothing else. You know, but I see that people just like to, you know, just go in and
answer.
Yeah, and questions. You really don't know what you're talking about, don't you? What can you do?
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah. Less, more curiosity, less barking. All right. So if you could have dinner with any comic book creator, dead or alive, who would you want to have dinner with?
Or a good beer with that only gets you about halfway there.
Yeah, in the zone with. Who you want to get in the zone with?
I gotta say Harold Foster.
Okay.
Nice.
For some of our listeners who aren't like as adept with like Golden Age and like older stuff, can you just explain like who that is?
Yeah, it's the creator of Prince Valiant. Before that, he did I think he co-created that character too, Rip Kirby, like a detective thing that he did. He was working from like what 30s to 50s, roughly, I would say, like early 60s. I think he died in 60s.
Okay.
Really old stuff before Marvel and DC and
some
crazy
classic Golden Age stuff. Now last question. Who is one comic book character, or let's just say character, because you've expressed so much interest across other mediums, who's one character you would love to draw but haven't yet had the chance to?
I can't really I can't really respond to that in any other way, but let's put it like this. To me, characters are kind of tools. You know, character is like a hammer. So if you need to hit the nail, you take a hammer and you do it. So character is a tool that has certain qualities about itself, which makes it good for certain tasks. So I will have to go with, it's always a story thing. I do like to know some characters more than others. but character itself is never really my prerogative. You know,
Okay.
That's rad.
somebody does like, because for example, Submariner, I never saw that fucking character in my life. I heard of it. That was it. That's not the reason why I did the book. I did the book because you know, the story was so fucking compelling, and I read there is a book that he did in Vertigo. What the fuck was it called? Fuck, I just forgot my favorite Vertigo book's name. And you know, like I don't care which character it is in that kind of story, you know, because what we need is, you know, I will change it into what we need anyways. So
Yeah,
it's all material if it's actually called name or something else,
right.
you know? So that's how I see things. If you got a great story that I can sink my teeth into, I don't care about the character really, because if you want to draw, you know, Thor, I will just talk to them to do a cover of a Thor. You know,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna pick a story to do based on character. I might want to do covers based on character.
okay.
You know, I haven't done this character long enough, so I would really like to do that character. You know, but it was kind of thing, you know, with the Silver Surfer, for example. The story we did, I would definitely do. But then I read some Silver Surfer comics that they were doing just before we did our thing, and if any of those were offered to me, I would say no. You know, because it's a stupid story. You know, I'm not going to name any names, but even if I like the character, you know,
you're going to value story over character.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool.
I feel like, hey, so really the answer is the answer to which character you haven't drawn yet do you want to draw is whichever one has the compelling story that I want to do.
Yeah.
That's great.
ESAD, thank you for playing our little game there. We really appreciate your time. Everybody, again, we did an awesome thing this last year. We covered an entire run of comics spanning almost if not over 100 issues. So thank you all for being a part of this series. It's been fantastic. ESAD, thank you for your time.
Yeah, man. And, thanks.
Will, we're gonna sign off now, everybody. If you want to go check out our show on Instagram, it's at Mighty Thor Podcast. If you want to support what we're doing here, highlighting Thor stories, creators, and conversations, you can go to the link in the episode description and join our Thor Corps on Patreon. Otherwise, we're going to tell you to do what we do every single episode, and that is, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, until we see you next time aboard the Rainbow Bridge, stay worthy, everybody.